And three, two, one. Hello, friends. This is Tresha Haefner coming to you from North Carolina in my butter yellow studio office with a hammock in it. And to my right is my co-host Robbie Nestor, always in the blue. So we have the bright yellow and the blue. Together we make orange, and we are going to make some poetry together. Uh, I want to say thank you to everyone who is here and who is going to read poetry with us or listen to poetry with us. Today we have two fantastic features, but if you don't know us at the Poetry Salon, I am the founder, and I founded it when we were an in-person group meeting in our apartment in Culver City in Los Angeles, California, before the Great Quar. And since then, we have moved to becoming an online organization, and we are on a mission to make inspiration, education, and quality arts community available to people around the world through the magic of the internet. And occasionally we do have in-person events, and we continue to grow. And I am so excited today that we are going to have two poets with us, two poets who over the last few weeks, I have finally remembered how to spell their names. And I'm going to turn it over to Robbie Nestor, who will introduce them to us. So without further ado, Robbie, it's all you. But you're gonna have to unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm sorry. Too many little things to click at once. My poor brain can't handle it. So Nikki, do you prefer DB?
So yes, I published under my real name, which is Nikki Fragala Barnes, but my friends call me DB.
Okay, so Nikki DB Fragala Barnes is an experimental poet and participatory installation artist using language as material. Barnes holds a PhD in text and technology, which makes me very curious to know more, specializing in editing, publishing, and interdisciplinary curating, and MFA of the Americas in poetry in the expanded field. They are a researcher and lecturer at the University of Central Florida, teaching poetry, writing, and fiction. They also serve as the president Orlando Area Poets, and with the editorial collective, the Journal of Interactive Technology and Pedagogy, and on the board of directors at the Central Florida LGBTQ Museum of History, the Woodrow Wilson Presidential Library and Museum, and the Menlo Museum of American Art. Recent scholarly work appears in multimodal and digital creative writing pedagogies. Recent creative work appears in the State of Florida Literary Journal of Poets and Poetry. Take it away.
Hi, thank you so much. That was lovely. I'm so thankful to Tresha and Robbie and the entire Poetry Salon community for welcoming me. And I'm so excited to hear more of Angela's incredible words in a few minutes. So I'm going to begin with a poem, with two poems that have their roots in the practice of visual art. The first one is part of what was used to help promote our reading tonight, The Palette I Am. Some scarf from some season, I don't recall. A duck rustles through where the lake remembers when it was just sand. Out of reach, a fluster as the wind wakes up the trees, tuning its orchestra, and I join the prayer, folding my knees, crushing the grass, the fallen blossoms. This playlist, the cypress, the stone, the restless lake, sore and spent, I bend, grasping a past I carry in the vault of my body, a litany, the surrounding jasmine washing over. The second one is, the title is Witness. And it's really referencing that ongoing process we're always in to co-create. Coming back to the line, I rise like paint accumulated on a canvas, valleys and rivers traversing an upright, opaque window no one saw. Ink and oil, signals and noise remind me discerning has space for shifting mystery. I am 49, 16, 31, and I stitch these pasts into new arrangements, called again into communion by hand with paint and canvas and anointing. Come with me, we who behold what is unformed, still wet a foreground, as the painter whispers, as the paint, to witness, to witness, to witness. This next one is still life. And I have teenagers living in my household at various levels of driving. And I think you'll see our focus on young drivers. All my cars are part of me. The back seats I slid into, burning summer as I surrendered to the sticking, hoping I'd remember to peel off slowly. The nights you drove me out to the airport where we'd watch the planes land and take off, the speakers buzzing underneath anthems. We turned the volume hard right, singing Gloria, sacrificing all to the gravelly scratching. We were never sorry. The Chevy I learned on, the Mercury I drove my brother in, the Jeep I named Jack after I signed with my teenage hand and drove out to the airport with you, where the windows kept fogging, keeping us from watching the planes. So the next one I want to read is a form poem called a terminal, which means we use the end words of a famous poem and we keep the end words, and then the poet writes a new poem that's may or may not be in conversation with the source. So this is the first of two terminal poems I'm going to share with you tonight. This is a terminal poem after Robert Frost's Reluctance. I never liked that poem about the woods. Finding my way was never about deciding on a path. And when did the choice ever depend on the view? How landscapes tempt and invite, mysteries descended, whispering us away from home until the night and the evening ended. Some quiet song singing beneath the ground, blinking and sparking, keeping a trail, a lifetime, a dozen decisions, or a single one. Who can know the major moments that matter, the roaring or the creeping, when we make ourselves as much as we are made beneath the snow, sleeping? I watch the erosion and the shaping still from my childhood to my child's lisping thither. And I can no longer recall the darkness come or gone, or the solitary questions from watching dried dreams wither. Though the companion or the road can each be the company I seek, and the person I became was born with her. Time's refining taught me to bend and yield, and also to accompany. Man, the depths of consolation and of treason, all things come bearing gifts, and things whose value far exceeds reason. No difference between a beginning or an end. We move through the woods we find, season after season. And this second terminal poem is after Orlando's poet laureate, inaugural poet laureate. Her name is Susan Lilly, incredible, gifted person with words. I love all the life happening in the chat. Thank you so much. So this is a terminal poem after Susan Lilly's poem, Fall. Sometimes a poem or a life is ordinary, like a day when a car slowly backs into your driver's side door and you hear good advice about insurances and turn radius. And when you get home, dinner is waiting with green beans and several options for topping baked potatoes. Flavors and seasons marry and merge like days and seasons combine, run together. Ask me again if it's still summer. My favorite color has always been gray, and I've loved the fall so much more than autumn. Maybe because my soul's never needed spice. The irrelevance of fabric softener or air freshener compared with the deeper aromatics emanating from love exhausted and well-worn. The confusing marquee moments in a day. I think you might be the one after all. This, our life's work, to fold towels, double check the locks, kiss your mouth in the middle of another season. They have their own hurricanes. Fool us that a generator is what's needed, or someone to trim the tree limbs while we roll the dice and spin the wheel. Even an argument is a classroom. Did Mary and Joseph fight about mangers? I really am glad you hired someone to cut the trees. I keep thinking about the coming weather and the temperature of our shared space, and how much I'm looking forward to wearing my old boots to walk to my classroom, which won't see winter, the season, or the song, until one more of us leaves. I used to love that line about purple mountains and majesty. Until I learned there's more than glory seated in the hearts of people. Contempt blooms in nations and families. So complex, everyone wants a cottage or a bungalow. No one wants to talk about median income or raising minimum wage finally. I can feel the squeeze and the crunch as we struggle through streets with only the small dreams left to follow, as my hair has gone almost completely white. Still, I never stopped feeling hungry, which is really a kind of hope that needed to know its own satisfaction is a celebration, not the wish to be happy, but choosing something more nuanced and grateful, leaning into each loss. One more here, a chime on my phone. This grown child I'm sending forth. I have a little poetry buffet here that I'm picking from as I'm getting to share my work with you tonight. And I feel like it's time for a protest song. Say the things that have been said. Have mercy. Said before, sung before, prayed before, screamed and whispered before, all before. Have mercy. Truth to people with false authority, weighing the humanity of humans. Have mercy on me. Stand in streets facing military tanks. Have mercy. Lay down in forests. Have mercy. Speak in public squares. Speak up. Speak out. Have mercy on me. Marching we vote, but not enough, and not enough of us. Have mercy. No, you are not human enough. Let me weigh your worth and find you wanting. Have mercy. Proletariat as renewable resource. Have mercy on me. Suffering not redemptive. Have mercy. Only suffering, unjust and useless, wearying. Have mercy. Your violent calculus that leaves us out of your equations. There is only us. Have mercy on me. Would it be clearer set to music, sing with folk guitar or rhyme demanding hip hop beats? Does the catchiness of pop make you listen? Have mercy. Have mercy on me. And the poem I'm going to close with tonight is a poem about winter. It's actually a solstice poem. And since we're about to experience another solstice this weekend, I feel like this is perfect since half of the world will be experiencing the winter solstice. You found me. Follow me into the library. You were the biggest risk I ever took, to know you, to find you, to love you, and the trust it took to walk through it all with you only ever equaled the courage it took to walk away. Let the words and language pull themselves out from under you like a magician's tablecloth, although the last thing you'll be is undisturbed. And isn't that what the ocean does? Is tumbles sand and truth until we drown in beauty and deep winter. This winter, it's a dark, quiet hush that spreads from the winter in my heart, inhaling air that hurts to breathe, the shadows welcoming the slow candles, and I have nothing to do but melt. You walk through the doorway. Because I love the cold mornings with you and your warm gray eyes and the feel of sleeves that go past my wrists, the feel of most things that go beyond, the beautiful math of snow, peppermint everything, how crisp the world is, Adam Duritz singing white on white, green sweater and eyes saying life, life, until you believe it. You belong here on the road, seen and unseen, even if you're spinning with me. If I could find a direct line to souls or forever, I'd leave these breadcrumbs and winter light to take you back, like a song that surprised us into the past. Walking opposite a tight hallway, I was stopped by your face, and I lost the search for the word it was, the word you are. And then I learned again the hard way that every action builds a road we walk. The word I couldn't find for you found me inside a flame, sitting in the dark, darkest day of the year, listening to the growing light. I just want to say, I remember, I remember, I remember. I wish you were here. I love you. Your ruined sweater and my unopened letters equal something less than what we used to be. In light and darkness, I can always find a home. And I keep being surprised that, like the children's game, you are not it. Lavender sheets, pixels, and ink, and the blankness of the page is not emptiness. That's how I know the blankness of your eyes is not emptiness. That's the difference. The salt, like iron filings to our magnet hearts, we are also trailed by all we have lost. Our dead, our left behind loves, our untraveled roads, unsought dreams stay unlit. I sit with you, and for now that's enough. You and your losses, me and mine. And still the cursor blinks. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those poems, and it's great to meet you. Our next feature is Angela Narciso Torres, and she's the author of What Happens Is Neither, Blood Orange, and the chapbook To the Bone. Recent work appears in Alaska Quarterly Review, 32 Poems, and Poetry Northwest. A graduate of Warren Wilson MFA program and Harvard Graduate School of Education, Angela has received fellowships from Breadloaf Writers Conference, Illinois Arts Council, and Ragdale Foundation. She received the Yates Poetry Prize and was recently awarded a Pushcart Prize. Way to go. Born in Brooklyn and raised in Manila, she lives in San Diego and serves as reviews editor for Rhino.
Thank you so much, Robbie, and thank you, Tresha, for inviting me to read today and for creating this wonderful space for poetry and community. Thank you, Nikki, for those thoughtful and visually arresting and sonically moving poems, and to all of you for being here on a Wednesday evening. It's really nice to see all your faces here. So earlier today, I was watching a poetry reading and conversation on YouTube, sponsored by the Slowdown Show. And someone made this comment. They said, what is sometimes lacking in our discourse about poetry is joy. He said the discourse about poetry has a bit of a joy problem. And that made me pause and think. And when I started to look at what I wanted to read today, I thought I might make it my mission today to challenge that assumption that poetry today lacks joy. Because really, All poetry is about paying attention, and when we pay attention, we're bound to find joy in even the most grim or sorrowful circumstances. Many of you might know that my most recent book, What Happens Is Neither, was occasioned by the deaths of my parents 11 days apart from each other in 2019. And though I often introduce this book as an homage and elegy to my parents, as well as a way for me to process the grief that followed those devastating losses, I never really wanted the book to be seen only as a book about loss and grieving. A poem is never just a monolith. It is never just about one emotion, joy or sadness, anger or serenity, life or death. One cannot exist without its opposite. So, at any rate, I thought today I would try to focus on some odes that I had written since the deaths of my parents, as well as in the book. These were poems that I was writing as a way of still finding beauty and joy and light um, in while navigating grief. The first poem I'd like to read is the one published in Alaska Quarterly Review and was honored with a pushcart. And this is an ode to a Smith Corona Galaxy typewriter that my father used when I was a child. And I have a replica. Well, I have one of them. It's not his. It's on my shelf behind me. As you can tell, I'm obsessed with typewriters and became even more so after my father's death. The draft of this poem was actually written on a typewriter. I just kept going, and I love that there's no delete function or there's no internet on the typewriter, so you can really get into the zone. And I just kept going. And so, yeah, let me start with that poem. Ode to a Smith Corona Galaxy typewriter. Find me again that teal jewel buried in my father's dust-encrusted cave of poems and pathology. Papers tipping in piles, a brown reel churning its mournful symphony. Take me to where the blue hours crawled from yellow yawn to drawl of dusk. Bring out the carriage whose rise and fall spelled here or gone, asleep, awake, alone, unafraid. Return me to that solar system, that universe of ciphers, symbols, simplest of lullabies. That nightly waterfall of spurts and starts, of mechanized whispers. My father's lips pursed in lamplight, his fingers the blur of 100 woodpeckers. Play me again that skeletal symphony, that tin can tango, jangle of keys, bright ding of bell. O divot, O inkblot, O seed plot of sorrow, O alphabet reliquary, ribcage of memory. If time won't stop, let it slow to the tempo of his staccato, that blue-veined arrhythmia in a corncob of stars. The second poem is also an ode. Often when I'm teaching the ode, I ask my students to look for a subject or a topic to praise that is not normally the subject of an ode poem. It's not normally deemed praiseworthy. When I was 12, I was diagnosed with scoliosis, and it's only now years later that I found a way to praise it. This poem is also in the Alaska Quarterly Review. It's called To Scoliosis. My S-curved swan shadow, snake spine, sidewinding the pink balloons of my lungs, the listing cages of my ribs. I was 12. A doctor took his ruler to my back, predicted I'd grow with one shoulder sloped, a gull's wing tilted slightly to the sea. Like swayed bamboo, this inner compass pining nightly for the moon. From scolios, meaning bent, curved, surly, skewed, perverse. If the track hadn't swerved, could we see behind the mountain? Would the view from the window be so fine? Don't the trees with gnarled trunks find more light? Thank you. I'd like to turn now to some poems from my book. This one is another ode to the body, but also like the poem I just read, it's also an ode to the words and their origins. This is Ode to the Areola. Ode to the Areola. Dark, pigmented nebula deepening around the nipple after childbirth, purple haze surrounding the storm's eye, not to be confused with aureole, Aureole. That crown of light radiating from saints' heads in certain medieval paintings, from the Latin aureolas, derived from aurum, meaning gold, which is also the root for aureole, those amber-plumed passerines flashing against July's late foliage, aging from Kool-Aid lime to hunter green. Until recently, I thought areola descended from the same root for aureoles and saints' crowns. But in fact, it derives from the Latin word for open place, which might connote a sun-filled plaza somewhere in Tuscany, and not this chocolate cloud capping the snowy flesh my newborn brooded for at dawn, his mouth a wrinkled rose. So the next poem, as I've been talking about, an ode is just a matter of paying close attention. And here the object of attention is a leopard gecko, which was my son's pet for about 8 years during his childhood. Shed. It was something we always watched for, but never saw. The gecko unsheathing her transparent, full-body tunic, each wrinkle and bump intact, a record of growth like the rings in a tree. 8 years on a ledge by our kitchen window, slinking in a clear box furnished with egg cartons and yogurt cups, and never once did we catch her in the act. It was almost always morning when we'd find the discarded sheath in a corner of the tank, a crumpled shadow, like the satin slip a woman steps from in haste, rippling on the floor, still warm with her scent. Thank you. Just 2 more poems. This next one is a poem in praise of work, of the mundane things we do every day. Chore. My friend can turn anything into a prayer. Sweeping the leaves, shaving his beard, washing dishes, every act a purging of what does not serve. Today I'm folding laundry. I start with the jeans, crisp from the dryer, smoothing the creases, then draping them on wooden hangers. Shaking wrinkles from the sheets, I square the corners the way mother taught. White t-shirts stacked flat on a shelf, sundresses on felt hangers, sweaters nestled in drawers. I find a place for every blouse, every scarf, until it feels inevitable. Order our days. The remnant floats up from decades of Sundays like words of a forgotten song. Order our days in your peace. My mantra, fold, hang, repeat. The hamper half empty, the bureau still warm with balled up socks. Thank you. And I'll close with another ode to an old object that brings me back to a memory of my father and his love of music and this warm memory of him. It's an old ode to this realistic AM/FM radio. Realistic being not an adjective, but the brand, as some of you might know, which I found in a yard sale. Okay. And thank you again for your wonderful presence and attention tonight. And I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of you in the open mic. Ode to a realistic AM/FM radio at a church rummage sale. What drew me was the rectangular squat of it, the hefty box full of sound you could plant on a desk or shelf, its walnut veneer nestled among cables, chargers, and string lights. Next to me, a man inspecting a pair of headphones saw me turn the radio over to check the tag and smiled, more to himself than to me. And I don't know why I told him my dad had a radio just like it. And isn't it cool, those 3 silver dials and the lighted tuning scale so you can see what station you're looking for? He picked up a scratched iPod before I could say, Look, no battery pack or carrying strap. So when your mother settles down to her talk show, she's bound to stay there where she is, paying bills or reading or filing her nails. Just like my dad, when he turned on his shiny Panasonic, permanently set at DZFX contemporary sound of radio in Manila, while he signed papers or typed on the Smith Corona as I sprawled on the rug, knowing he'd stay riveted until Beethoven's Symphony No. 7, performed by the Vienna Philharmonic and conducted by Karl Bohm, reached its grand finale. But for now, the first movement was just gaining momentum. It would be a while before the tsunami of brass and strings that broke through the staticky silence would end in applause, and we'd stand up to do the routine things around the house, but not yet. Not while that spell of sound held us, pouring from a silver box rooted to the wall, and my father leaning back on his chair, eyes fixed in the middle distance between desk and darkening window, wasn't going anywhere, and the brown shag rug beneath us wasn't going anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm
I
sorry.
know, over already. Thank you, Angela, and thank you, Nikki. That really is a delight. Robbie and I together are going to manage the Wild West that is our open mic. So Robbie, just a reminder, please tell me who's on deck and
Okay,
who's gonna read.
Amy is up and John is on deck.
Okay, I think I can manage both of those things. So Amy,
John, 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 not Jon, John. And we should tell everyone to make it short, about 3 minutes, including the introduction.
thank you
So
so
we
much. Okay.
don't have anyone delivering a dissertation.
I will cut you off. I have very
Okay.
few powers and I am a petty dictator. So if you hit more than 3 minutes, I'll cut you off with glee. Okay, I'm gonna put the spotlight on Amy Small McKinney, and John John is on deck. So John with an H, be prepared. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much. This has been a great evening. I'm so glad I stayed awake for it. I was just tired. Anyway, I'm just going to read a happy poem, given what Angela said. And there is no title. It begins with a quote from Walt Whitman: "As to me, I know of nothing else but miracles." Walt Whitman. I wake, place my feet on the blue-gray rug, move slowly toward the bathroom, the sink requiring cleaning, then notice in the mirror the miracle of aging, then notice in my bed the miracle of you who almost didn't find me. The white forest of your chest, your thighs reminding me of baobab trees that grow without buckling, that can live for 3,000 years, can shelter up to 40 people inside the safety of its trunk. We are old and in love. And I thank the universe, thank whatever I can thank. Maybe trees, maybe that cloud shaped like a basket filled with zinnias. And no, there is no end to this poem. No end. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, John Brenningham.
Okay.
And John is up and Rosemary is on deck.
All right. Well, thank you. I recently adopted a person who I've known for 20 years. So I adopted kind of a middle-aged person. But she was a teenager in my house. Anyway, I can call her my daughter now. And so I've got a poem about my daughter, and it's a poem of joy. Sort of. In the dark near the creek, I'm standing out back near the creek, and I can hear the animals down there doing their nighttime business. Above me are stars and the dark matter that I'm looking right at, but I cannot see. I can hear my wife and daughter talking inside the house. I hear the patter of their voices. They were filling in the parts of each other's lives they missed out on. Who knows what they're talking about now? My wife's words ironic. My daughter laughs. I'm looking into a universe of dark matter. I'm staring at it, but I cannot see it. And my wife and daughter have a universe of experience I will never understand. That dark matter hanging above me that I will never see, I can feel it. I'm looking back in time almost 14 billion years, one small moment of unknowing. Thank you.
Thank you, John. It's Rosemary Bohm up right now. She has several names to choose from in several languages.
I was going to read something far more serious, but this whole thing about joy made me, in the odes, made me want to read an ode that I think is a lot of fun. So, the ode to my stilettos. Excuse me. These shoes are made for wearing with assurance, with determination and the intent of seduction. Bring out the language of my leg, the curvature of my calf. Bring on the furtive look of devotion. The prayer made of pressure, the staccato of steel heel, the needle that takes my weight, shortens my foot, adds to my height, and gives me a perverse power, is only underestimated by the target audience. Sharp suits, shoulder pads, off the shoulder, satin, evening dreams, swinging skirts, wide-legged pants, partners in a game of dominance, and come hithering. My wardrobe today is full of casual gear and comfortable shoes. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I have a little shoe there for you in the chat. Let's see. Our next reader is Joel, and John, Jon, is on deck. So first, Joel.
Okay. I have two short poems. Each one is half a page long, if that's okay, Robbie.
Okay, if you can do it in 3 minutes or less.
Okay, start the timer. Summer meetup. Let's meet in Florida at the Worm Farm where they play Mozart over loudspeakers to make the worms more spirited. Or somewhere closer, like Costco, where we can test pricey outdoor sofas and survey all the summer supplies, pool noodles, inflatable rafts, tents with awnings. Plus, in summer, you can walk into the chilled alcove of their dairy section while you think about those poor worms who can't escape their farm or the heat, but at least they have Mozart. Sevens. 7 years of plenty, then 7 famine years. Pharaoh's dream, 7 fat, then scrawny cows ambled down to the Nile. 7 days for everything around us to come into being. Try a new number. 2 dice, 3 ways to roll a 7. Try 1. The one time I nearly lost you, but then chemo, 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 chemo. 7 times I cried before finding my way back to joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Our next reader is John Pearson, and on deck is Jessica.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me read. This is called Easy Mercies. In the tiny lantern heart of a frog, there exists the memory of things getting better. The green water was once, after all, a queen, and you can feel it still in the smooth satin sheen of her glassy and unblemished surface, while on her weedy bottom are stirrings and meanderings, regal side thoughts, murky and untrammeled. The frog, green and slick with silence, knows she too was once a queen, and is so still with all the water at her disposal, all the clearness and coolness reaching fat and wide before her. Make that flat and wide to the horizon, a whore rising, if you say it wrong, as people tend to these days, say things wrong. Whereas the cool, clear green of the water keeps her mouth shut, the earless, toothless water without hunger or regret, silently echoing things will get better, better, better. For instance, the betterness of the mudlark. I'm guessing mudlark. Is there such a thing? Or the prancing bear, if only bears could prance and play the banjo, like that time I went to Disneyland as a kid, and we ate at Paw Paw's Kitchen, and we saw the bears strumming banjos on the porch. But in the lantern of the frog's trusted and smooth-ridden heart, the light continues. A lamp left on a table in a child's room, the bed covers turned down by a Mother Nature, things bettering themselves all by themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, John, and thank you for coming. We seldom see you at these readings.
It's a pleasure.
Our next reader is Jessica, and on deck is T. Paulson.
Okay, thanks. So I'll read a poem that just came out in the most recent Gone Lawn journal, the Strawberry Moon issue. So the name of the poem it's a prose poem. It's called The Aubergine Dress. Aubergine being dark purple, like eggplant purple. The aubergine dress. I stood in a gallery of another woman's house, reading out loud from an aubergine dress. The dress was her poem, not mine. Each tier of the chiffon skirt needed translation. The bodice encircles the heart, lines stitched into circles of skirt. Stanzas, the stories of a house. Body of a woman, the form. The woman wearing it was dark purple, her face a port wine stain. She had neglected to tell me about the fish in her indoor pool. Hungry, it came out of the filter, but I didn't know what to feed it. Bread? Fish flakes? The pale gold fish swam in the air above the water, and I pet its muscled back as it moved through my hand. It wasn't a bird or a cat. It was still a fish. Too late, for the woman had left. I asked the dress, "Where's the fish food?" I was taking care of her home while she was away. "Everyone out of the pool," I said, and dashed through the cement corridors of the compound, searching for the stash in vacant stores. The fish was good for the house. Night fell. The bright conical skirts of security lights came on, lit the shadowed portico. House guests mumbled, drunk in their sleep. The woman had left her dress empty. I was afraid of changing my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. I love the way you ended that with an inversion of the famous line, from James Wright. Thank you so much. Our next reader is T. Polson, and on deck is Nilda Deepa. T. There you go.
Okay. I was waiting for myself to show up in lights. So how many readings have you ever been to where you get to hear 3 terminal poems in one reading? Well, tonight is the night. This poem was in the most recent issue of Quarterly West, and I'm very grateful to them for publishing it. It's after John Donne's poem of the same title, Batter My Heart. Batter my heart, except you enthrall me, never shall be free, nor ever chest, except you ravish me. John Donne. God, if vanilla cake batter were you, forever I'd breathe your scent, mend my cravings after you rise warm. I'd bend you in my mouth, cherry my broken, with new icing. I'd slurp the last of you. I'm overdue for sweet. I labor prayers to their dead ends. I taste advice and spit it out, defend my need for proof. You say your love is true, but I touch nothing. So unwind my vain hunger, or salad me with green. You enemy my empty and stale my bread, my wine, again, with hollow. My prison breaks. I never enthralled you. You wanted me for free. I chased your ravish wholly. You ghosted me.
A favorite theme, G. I see. Our next reader is Nilda Deepa.
Hello.
Oh, I forgot to say that Michael O is on deck. Sorry.
Thank you for having me here tonight. I wanted to correct my last name is Diepa. And because I'm new here, I wanted to read a poem that kind of tells you a little bit of who I am. It's called Love Sung in Two Tempos. How can I pull outside of myself this anguish of sharing with you who I am, where I've been, how life has brought me to my knees? It's a matter of self-discipline, my mother used to say, of doing what you must and doing it right. But who am I but an open book for you to pass by and ignore, or worse yet, read and misinterpret? It's a matter of self-discipline, my mother used to say, of having faith and doing what's right. It's not enough to make myself vulnerable to your prejudices and your judgment. I must find what makes you tremble with my joy and terror, sweat and laughter. It's a matter of self-discipline, my mother used to say. My nerves, I put them in my pocket. I must recreate for you the sharp scent of the sea breeze and the soft rustle of the palm fronds and the insistence of the moist evening song of the tiny frog that dies away from its homeland as it piteously chirps, "Coqui, coqui, coqui." It's a matter of translation, I must say. Coqui, coqui, coqui. A sad, humid love song for my island. I too was supposed to die many years ago when I left my sunny, windswept paradise for this strange country with its strange customs, its busy isolation and lonely independence. But I put my grief in my pocket and dutifully housewifed a large family. Yet something in me was strong, young, beautiful, and it kept me alive when I should have died, sad and lonely with a pain that strangles the throat, when the beach is too far to touch, the fragrant rainforest only a faint dream. It's a matter of self-discipline, my mother used to say, so I hid my grief in my pocket. What keeps you alive, my dear friend, and smelling sweet and singing? What foreign tasting country do you inhabit and survive in? What's inside that gives us courage to live in spite of life itself? Mommy, mommy, mommy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And hope you come back. another time. We haven't seen you here before. Next
Thank
up
you.
is Michael O. And on deck is Jimmy Pappas.
Thank you. This poem is titled The Conflagration of Our Inheritance. We clean to bare walls and floors. Rooms elongate like feral cats. Heirlooms bonfired on a dead lawn. We add faux condolences. Drive truckloads through a narrow jam. The dancing fire hesitates. Dreams, nightmares, bastard spawn of TV and movie soundtracks, resold to insomniacs all the toss-turn night. Valpurgis knock rattles our heads. We wild. Smoldering cushions burst and flow, dolls cleansed of their defilements contort in their meltings. Journals, albums, memoirs curl orange and red, ringlets to ashen flight. We clean till what remains won't bleach or burn. We dance, inviolate charwomen, Jeanne d'Arcs of the purifying flames, till our bones are soot, our blackened lungs remnants of screaming embers, Pompeians fired in Vesuvian kilns. We, nightingales, we, maids of heaven. How the ancients honored us in tapestries set before a queen, in the night's blooming, in a feathered voice. Yes, we cried. Yes. That's how we learned to curse and sing. We clean.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. And I hope you come back another time. You're welcome. Our last reader before the end, unless there's someone else who wants to assert themselves and put themselves on the open mic, is Jimmy Pappas.
Yeah, thanks.
And then
I email in the chat in case anybody wants to attend any of my events. Robbie attends a lot. Rose does. Tresha is boycotting me though. So my poem is called The Incomprehensibility of Order. Whose turn is it anyway, she jokes, to poke fun at me, while I, the oldest, hide my guilt. If the world were fair, her hair would still be her own instead of a wig. For the rest of the day, no one mentions it again. When the food is ready, we each take turns filling our plates. Our Cooper's hawk swoops down in a failed attempt to capture a chickadee at the bird feeder. We sit in her yard with a small fire in the ember pit burns slowly. Okay. Thank you.
thank you. So have you adopted the Cooper's hawk, Jimmy?
No.
Not yet. Okay. I am the last reader unless there's someone else who wants to read, and then Tresha, of course.
Yes, and I do also just have to take issue with the slander. I'm not boycotting you. I'm just asleep at this hour of night unless I'm hosting or facilitating.
No problem.
But Jimmy does have a wonderful reading, and please do check it
He
out.
does. It's always entertaining and interesting. And you never know what people are going to talk about.
It's definitely worth it.
Yes. So I have a poem that I discovered because I wasn't paying attention, appeared already in Crab Apple Review. It's my first time having a poem in it, so I've been trying for a number of years. It's called Ode to the Smells of Summer. Think of the hypnotizing scent of 2 ripe peaches in a bowl, how they can perfume the farthest corner of the house and magnify it. Imagine then the riches of the peach orchard, rows of apricots and nectarines, pluots and plums of every hue. It seems that every seed has sprouted, borne a pea or ear or globe of something, with its special odor, like tomatoes on the vine, a strong and spicy scent, natural insecticide. And there is more beneath my feet. Even the roots are edible, although they smell at first of earth. I have to watch so I don't trip over the cantaloupe with its reticulated rind, tiny striped watermelons patterned like the baby tapir at the zoo, hiding in tall grass. I love the blooming jasmine, so sweet it knocks me backwards when I crack open the screen door to get the mail. The white roses, way past their prime, loll loose-petaled sideways on their stems like drowsing concert-goers. And yet their smell seems more intense, not less, than the tightest buds of spring. Yellow angel's trumpet hang upside down, stilled bells, oversized silk hats, their concentrated sweetness almost a sound. In the evening, moths broadcast their musk, something like vanilla. This time of year, everything is in the business of attraction. Even the swollen strawberry moon, brightest berry on the vine, makes us yearn. I get down on my knees and sniff the earth. Okay, Tresha, your turn.
Thank you. Robbie, where did you say you had that published?
Crab Orchard Review.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, I can see why they took that. That's a feral poem. Lovely. I will take us out, and I want to say, since we are on this topic of joy and poetry, I'll make a plug for Stevie Edwards has a poetry journal called Elysium Review, Elysium, Elysium Review, and she has been open about the fact that she has written, about trauma and things in the past, and so she is curating this journal specifically to attract and curate poems that are focused on pleasure and joy and things like that. So if you have those poems, or you're looking for some poems that celebrate things, please check out Elysium Review and send them your best work, because it is a fantastic journal. My poem is called Once in Florence, and it's not exactly a terminal poem, but it was inspired by Ellen Bass and her poem Prayer. If you don't know that poem, I think it's something like, once oh God, I'm gonna get it wrong, but it's like, once I ascended a stair wearing a dress liquid as vodka, and then it goes from there, and I won't butcher it, but please look up Ellen Bass's poem Prayer, because my poem steals a line from there. Anyway, it's called Once in Florence. Once in Florence, a bouquet of kestrels opened over the Duomo. Wings bright as flower petals, they circled over the sunburned tops of town and landed on the church like gray ministers coming to pray again. Once I would have prayed, Lord, let me rise up like that, flying over all that is human, marble halos on the heads of statues, plates of bread, and the lace offerings of salt drying on the shores of the sea. Lord, I still love loving the world like that, all that is lovely spread below me, mountaintops, mouths, romantic languages lingering in the ears of the blue trees. But God of distraction, I'm tired of all the distraction, the choiceless choosing. Let me have one moment that rises over every other desire. Let it be enough to stand still under this one church, 800 images of Christ's suffering, the pigeon nailed to their mortal perches, lifting into the sun like petals blowing open, a violinist in the shadow of the stones, releasing songs from the wood for all of us, for free. Before we can go out, I think, Robbie, you and I need to announce our next featured poets.
Because they are wonderful. We have Tim Siebel, because we love Tim Siebel. And I had him last year, but I can never get enough of him. And this time he's bringing Cornelius Eady with him too. So you need to come because it'll be an amazing, amazing reading. And maybe if we're lucky, Cornelius will also play some jazz for us. I don't know. I can't promise, but we can ask.
We can always hope. We live in perpetual hope. I also want to say, please keep in touch with me. If you're not already on my Substack, you can join at the Poetry Salon stack.substack.com. You can become a free subscriber. You can support us if you become a paid subscriber. You also get access to additional workshops and things with me and other poets. And through my Substack, I will be releasing interviews and more follow-up information with Nikki and Angela. And I try to keep everyone abreast of worthwhile things that are happening. So, lots of good stuff if you join that Substack, and it comes right to your inbox. So hopefully that makes it easy to find. Yeah, Robbie, anything else?
Thank you. Thank you so much to our features. It was wonderful to hear your poems, and they made us want to be glad about something. And that is important now because God knows there's enough miserable stuff, and we don't need to be prompted about that. So thank you so much. And I think it would be maybe a good time to stop the recording. And if anybody has any questions that they want to ask the features.
Absolutely. All right. Substack, the Poetry Salon on Substack, and please look up Angela Narciso Torres and Nikki Ragella Barnes. And we'll see you at the next one. I'm going to end recording in 3, 2,